Welcome to Mount Van Hoevenberg. We're in Lake Placid, upstate New York, on a cold, grey, blustery snow day in December. Welcome to the venue for the second round of the BMW IBSF Sliding World Cup. And today is four-man day. We're ready for the first of our two heats. In the booth, out of the weather, Martin Haven, and alongside me, John Morgan. And John, tough track to keep clean in these conditions, and a tough track for the drivers to deal with.
Well, it's a tough track no matter perfect conditions, and but the track has been giving up some track records. We just saw the track record get broken, women's skeleton, so we could see something here today with the four-man bobs, even with the wind howling. Look at the track record. It's from 2005, so these are a lot nicer conditions than the athletes will be seeing today. Top of the track, cliffside. Boy, no mistakes allowed here. Now into curve 4, Whiteface. This is where you start to reach speeds, 70 miles an hour into the Devil's Highway. Curve 6, 7. A lot of G-force and pressure, 8, 9, into 10. The pivotal part of the track, the exit is shady. You need to launch yourself down there and into the three-quarter combination, the labyrinths. Boy, there'll be some beautiful pictures coming out of these curves. Benham's Bend. Dip down into the chicane. It's not a straightaway. Tough to get through there clean. The heart, 4 G's of force. 18 pivotal part of the bottom part of the track. 19 exit going uphill. Watch out uphill. You can lose some time there. A little bit of a graveyard of time opportunity if you don't get through there clean. And look at this old track record.
2003, Andre Lange and the crew set the track record here. It has not been broken in 13 full seasons. And as John said, we did have track record pace in the women's skeleton race this morning. Air temperature climbing, it's up to -6. Yesterday it was -25. Ice temperature yesterday for the first runs of skeleton was down at -20 and below. Now still -9 is very, very hard, fast ice. And that's why we're suggesting maybe, just maybe, we may get a new track record. Yeah. Alexander Kazyanov of Russia was our season opening race winner in Whistler. Yesterday in the two-man, Stephen Holcomb took his 6th gold medal on this track in 7 outings. How does that set him up, John, do you think, for a four-man encounter?
Well, he's driving a brand new BMW sled that he's only got about 15 trips with, including 2 weeks ago in Whistler when he finished 4th. I think he's a favorite along with Kazyanov. Watch out for Cody Basque, too.
Yun Jung-won starts his first four-man race this season. He's done both two-man encounters. And Alexander Kazyanov goes off in 6th position. There's no real favorite place in a snow race because the wind can blow snow into the track anytime, some of the time, none of the time. It is a complete lottery. You've just got to deal with what faces you. Holcomb goes off 11th, and Kelly Humphreys and Alana Myers-Taylor are also in the field.
Well, we've had 4 races so far here at Mount Van Hoevenberg and Lake Placid, and 4 different countries have won the gold medals. That tells you how diverse the groups of winners are in the International Bobsleigh Skeleton Field.
Yun Jung-won of Korea, first of the sleds on the ice to start the second race of the Bobsleigh four-man World Cup.
He did not drive in Whistler. That was strange. Kid drive. So this is his first World Cup four-man race of the year. First heat. 16.0. That's a real important speed. Ooh, that's not a good tap out of 3, but it happens.
It's impossible to avoid everything hits there, or you have to have a massive steer, which costs even more time.
And watch these pictures, these sleds. 117 speed, keep your eye on that. That's the entrance. That's shady and out of 12. Watch this big sport utility come at us. Whoa, speeds 84.4 through 1819. Whoa, pictures here. Every picture tells a story. Every picture of every sled coming down this track is going to have the same type of line. 54.12.
Yep.
That's 45 hundredths off the track record that's been around since 2003.
85 miles an hour down in the bottom corner, climbing up towards the finish line. And a 54.12 start.
85 miles an hour.
Yeah, just.
Entries and exits of these curves. This is exit is shady. Comes on, they should be over there on the other side of that straightaway to get on that 11 as quickly as you can. Where you get on and off these corners dictates your opportunity for fast times. If you get in late in these curves, it's going to cost you.
Second of our starters in this field of 18 four-man sleds is the USA's Cody Basque from nearby Whitehall, New York. Grew up, I was going to say man and boy, but he's grown up at this track since the age of about 3 or 4. And in the night train sled, so Steve Holcomb's famous Olympic gold medal winning four-man.
In, down, quick. So important. Cody did not have a very good two-man race yesterday. Everybody thought he was going to challenge top 5 or 6. Ooh, that's a rough exit of 2. Bang hard out of 3. You know, but he won the U.S. trials. All 4 races. 2 races here, and 2-man, 2 races, and 4-man in Park City. He won them all.
Neat transition. He's 800s behind into Shady. Let's see what he can find at the bottom of this track.
Again, he's only got about 10 trips in this sled. Down to 2. Speed's going to be important. He's got a chance here on the bottom to catch the Korean.
He's got better speed than...
Ooh, is he right there?
85.8, he's 100 in front. He'll take the lead at the line. Where will that leave him after the first heat? He doesn't. 300s back.
Boy, that exit of 18, 19, he was late there. He had the better speed, but he raced it with that late exit.
And you were in the lead until the last split.
Yeah.
Right here, this is not bad. This is where he started the motor. He took a deficit in the exit of Shady. He had it down to 200s here and took the lead here on the, but look how high he got there on 17. Now watch, he comes off here late. Now watch him set up into the middle of this curve. Now watch the back end of the sled in this next shot. Whoa, it's airborne. That's where he lost his time right there. That little mistake up in 17.
Well, there's Cody Basque. Next up is Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands, running on a tiny budget, this Dutch crew. There's just the 4 of them here. Rudy Mensik, David Pumpich, and Dennis Venker, who was in the 2-man sled yesterday, being helped out by the Aussies at the top and the bottom of the track. Another tiny nation. So Lucas Mata raced in the 2-man race, but there are not 4 of them to make an Australian 4-man sled. Not healthy enough this weekend.
Four-man bobsled start. A little choreography on ice, we like to say. It's not easy getting in that little cylinder, especially when you're as large as some of these guys. That's a good exit there out of 1. 60.4 is very good speed. Start speed, as we call it, and that's all relative to how they get out of that curve 1. It's 5/10 back. That's relative to he was 3/10 back at the start.
Oh, corners come at you so fast in the Devil's Highway. Shady must come as a relief to the drivers. You get a couple of seconds where you don't have to worry about the next turn.
Yeah, well, 18 and 19 is loaded down here. We saw what it did. That's a pretty good, you know, this runaway truck is a little bit easier to, oh, that's why he's late here. Oh, that's hellacious. How he got through there. Wow. I mean, it's tough sitting still watching these pictures, Mark.
It's a rocky ride down this track, whatever you're driving, and the 4-man, the speed and the size of this machine makes it really hard to navigate.
Well, Tony Carlino says the 4-mans have an easier chance on this track than the 2-mans. Well, the first 3 sleds I've seen come down the track, there haven't been easy descents. And here he catches that little part of the S. Now this sets him up wrong. Look how we're on the wrong side of the straightaway coming in. He's got to steer too hard, and then he exits late here. Now watch him set up for 17. He's late. Comes into 18. He has to really steer hard to come down, which he does. But when you steer that hard, there's a lot of friction, and you lose speed.
At least he didn't roll it over and lose the crew, so they complete their first heat. They will go up and go again in the second run. Next up for Brazil, Edson Bindliati with Edson Martins, Dennis Pereas and Rafael Sousa da Silva. Now, this is the last World Cup race that we will see these guys in. They will stay in North America because the travel budget will just blow what resources they have. And so they will stay on the North American tracks, performing and improving. And then hopefully we will see them return to top flight competition in the World Championships towards the end of the season.
You know, talking to Joe Manning, their coach, she's done a great job of organizing this team, and they present themselves very professional. But she says that Edson, the driver, he'd rather drive four-man. He really likes the four-man.
That's Joe on the wall, you'll see. On the left of your shot when we pull back in the blue Brazilian jacket. I'll say hi to Nikki Minicello as well, who's been so much a part of training these guys. I'm sure she's getting ready for Christmas back home in the UK. 5:17 start.
Not bad now. There's a little drift. 61 flats, pretty decent start speed.
Good exit off 3.
That's not bad. They're very quiet there too. 1800's back. That's relative to the start. So if he stays at 18, he's got a chance on the bottom. Oh, that's late. Back when you see the back end of those sleds fall off that curve.
Now, because it was so cold yesterday, this is a very different track to the one that they trained on Thursday. He's got to react fast and anticipate his steers now more than he's had to do all week long, and he is reacting to the ice temperature. Still
pretty good. He's really improved. I mean, he's a 4-time Olympian. You know, he comes from a track and field background, decathlete. He's got in the front seat in the last 2 years. And they've, you know, for what they work with, this is pretty impressive.
Third place ahead of Ivo de Bruin.
They spent a lot of time in the UK training.
Yep, spent the summer in and around Sheffield.
That was one of the smoother rides, except for that curve. Look at the back. When you see that back left runner airborne like that, imagine what it feels like at the back of the sled.
Well, that's that 4-5 transition, and that's where you really get the feeling that the steer you made, which was the steer that worked in training, isn't early enough, and then you've got to really adjust.
He had a great chicane, those pictures we just saw there. So, Edson, keep it going.
Well, these Brazilians, they're used to the snow. Snows all the time in Rio and Sao Paulo. Lloyd Costec might be a little more used to the snow. He comes from La Plagne, high in the French Alps. Vincent Castel alongside him at 2, Dorian Hauteville and Jérémy Bouturin on the back of the sled. Well, these guys finished in 14th spot in Whistler. A little core of huge French expertise coaching them. Bruno Mijon, Max Robert. See the man at 4, the brakeman's got a back protector on. Probably not a bad call in these conditions on this track either.
In, down, quick, cat-like movements. That was not, their number 2 man was not in the sled as they entered the first curve. And any kind of movement around that first curve does alter your speed. But this guy's really starting to come out as a 4-man pilot. He's another guy that probably uses the 2-man as a warm-up.
Well, he's a little like Bruno Mijon. Mijon was always the better man in the 4-man.
Oh, well, I think every sled's going to have that back runner airborne on that curve today.
I think so.
Speeds. He's in. Ooh, watch out late. There, he gets away with it. Let's see how he does. Bet him spend into the chicane. He's 4/10, 3,500s off. Speed 81 miles an hour. He's 4 mile an hour down.
Up to 3rd place ahead of the Brazilians. And 3rd of the line, yes it is, 2,800s back.
It's not bad, he was 1,300s. 1000s behind the Koreans at the start. And
break.
Well, they went way up.
Yep, way up.
Now, you don't realize how steep that is. You know, TV doesn't do it justice. That's very, very steep.
After the last few days, plenty of ice there.
That's 3 or 4 stories right there by the time they get back down where they're going to take the sled out. And, you know, the brakes, well, they're supposed to sharpen them up. Sometimes, of course, with the conditions of the ice.
Brakeman might not have got the brakes on early. Well, here we go. Look at this transition.
Oh, this is just a nice way to look at the next curve, exit of 12. And, you know, the track is a complete highlight reel.
Yeah.
You could pick
it really is, yeah. Pick a corner, any corner. Yeonjung-won of Korea is our race leader, 5 of our sleds down. And next up, Alexander Kasyanov of Russia.
Here comes our first real challenger here. I expect him to rocket to the best start. This could be a sub 5-second start, and this is the guy who won the race last week in Whistler.
World Cup points leader Alexander Kasyanov started the season with victory.
98, 97. Oh, 5:09. I'm surprised at that because they were flying. Look, he's already got the lead. This is a very formidable pilot. You give him any kind of a start time, which he hasn't had in the past, he wins like he did last week.
Still tied for the lead with one of Korea.
Whoa! That might have been the latest 5, 6, 7 we've seen.
Again, this underlines what a good job Yeonjung-won has done. Kasyanov, don't forget, didn't race here in January. The Russians didn't come to North America at the end of last season.
Hanging in there. 14. You know, might have to start talking more about Ron.
He's down 3rd place in the line, Alexander Kasyanov. Cody Bascu still 2nd.
There's Zubkov on the right.
Yeah, Alexander Zubkov, double gold medalist in Sochi.
Well, it's 1400s, top 3 sleds. Before we're done, we're probably going to have about 15, 1800s with the top 5 or 6 sleds.
Wow, what a tight field we had in the women's skeleton race. We had 8 sleds covered by 700ths of a second, hovering around the top 10, and we had 3 to 2 ties in the field.
The chicane, look at the energy. Can you see any aerodynamics back there? You can see some of the shoulders back there. That number 3 guy's too high. See the helmet come up a little bit there?
Brakeman at 4.
We'll keep looking at that. The aerodynamic profile of those guys in the back of the driver is so important on this track, because there you're going about 85 miles an hour, and you need all the air, the clean air to come out of the back of that sled.
Second Russian up next. This is Alexei Stulnev with Vasily Kondratenko, Ilva Hutzin, and Roman Koshelev on the back of the sled. Number 4 in Kasyanov's crew, whose shoulders you can see was the veteran Max Belugin. Just a big, tall guy.
9th or 8th last week in Whistler. This is
only the 3rd of the Russians. He didn't really have a great 4-man race.
Well, there was 3 Russians in the top 8 last week. The winner, and then Andrianov was 7th, Stulnev with 8. And, you know, he's another one who needs to start, though. He's going to have to get probably a 13 or 14 start minimum.
Yellow visor on the driver just to cut down glare from the ice and the lights.
Nice. 5:05, the best start.
Big start.
Whoa, and he drifts a little bit, doesn't have the 61 speed. I'm surprised at that. But wow, that start. Maybe the Russians loaded up this team. 4 down to 2.
On paper, Kasyanov still has the fastest trio behind him. Not sure there's an awful lot that Stulnev's got in pace over Kasyanov either on the push bar. He's pulled out a big start.
He got a lot of that curve. Listen to these runaways trucks. He's got a skid going, which isn't good in the bottom part of the track, but he gets through there quickly. And, you know, if you get there that safe, it's probably because you're steering too much. Left 3rd, bad, he's tied. No, there, he beat his teammate. Wow.
By
of course, but he beat his teammate by 400ths at the start. So the Kasyanov. Wow.
So in terms of driving, that was pretty much a dead heat. Only 100th of a second difference down the track.
So we got 4 sleds in the top 1400s, separated by 14. We're going to have like 6 or 7 within 15 or 1600s here, which is going to set up a fantastic second run. Look at the speed difference now. There's a full kilometer that Stulnev gains on the bottom here. That's with that drift, it's a little surprising.
Found it somewhere, didn't he? Yeah, we're going to be playing snakes and ladders in Heat 2, that's for sure. This is going to be a very tight field. Silver medal for Bruce Tasker this morning in Europa Cup racing in Altenburg in Germany. Lamin Dean here in the 4-man for Great Britain. Olympic champion Mark Lewis Francis at 2, Andy Matthews at 3, and the rookie this season, Tremaine Gilling, on the brakes at 4. Bruce Tasker And Toby Alubu, 100th off the start record in Altenburg that has stood to Andrea Langer and Kevin Kuska since 2003. Start record here is nearly as old.
So this team will be heard from by the end of the year. We're starting to, when they start improving their starts, the 4 athletes they got in the sled, including an Olympic champion, this is impressive.
800s off the lead of Yeonjong Won, and again we're seeing what a good first run Won put in as the first man down the mountain.
Nice line out of Shady. Lamondine is coming on every time he gets to the track. He's closer and closer, it seems like, to breaking into that first ever podium appearance. Might not be here today, but not forget before the season's out, we're going to see Lamondine on the podium.
Holding the gap of 1700s. What's he got to the line? Can he close at all? 1500s behind.
Okay. So now we got
1500s.
I say we're going to have, so we might have 8 sleds in the top, probably separated by 2000s by the time we're done here.
100 behind Kasianov, 300s, 400s behind Stulnev, and then the top 2, Cody Basco and Yeonjong Won, separated by 300s of a second.
Well, let's take a look at the start here. I mean, it's everything, but they watch. Now, they all got to hit this together. It's cohesion. And look at that. The driver did not hit the same time that the 3 guys on the back did. Now, look, he comes off the start block, runs forward. Some people lock their feet in with their hands on. They have a different start technique, but the exact cohesion, he has to hit that bar exactly at the same time as the other 3. They did not do that.
So there is more speed to come. Well, next up, silver medalists 2 weekends ago in Whistler, the season opener. Rico Peda with the big man, Roel van der Zijde, joining Seaman Friedley and Thomas Amrine on the back of the sled. Quick check to make sure that everything is A-OK. The D-rings that hang on bungee straps supported from the top and the bottom of the sled are there where he needs them when he jumps in, because you don't look down.
You can see they come off the back of the block, and he hit the push bar exactly when those other 3 guys exploded off that back push bar.
Well, again, the
506.
The British
start.
team came together late in the run-up to the season, so they haven't done a lot of dry land training to get that sync together. That has to come.
Watch out for this switch driver. Great weekend last weekend in Whistler. 2 medals. You know, I've been saying he's a reckless driver because he doesn't steer. Exit Shady was a little late, and that wasn't bad. Let's see if he can get some speed here at the bottom. Ooh, big hit, 600s back. He's still in it though, 84 miles an hour.
At the lead to Shady, still just 600 of a second away. Could be very close at the line. Will Rico Peda overhaul the Koreans?
Could be to the 100. Got him.
Yes, by 100th of a second. Top 3 covered by 400ths of a second. And wow,
this is what he does. He was second.
Close.
He was the reckless driver last weekend in Whistler and finished with 2 medals. And here, that looked pretty on pace like everybody else, but you know, he's just doing what everybody else in Switzerland has done over the years on this track. Look at the difference. Won lost almost a half a kilometer speed on the exit of Shady. He had the best speed. That's why he caught him on the bottom. And considering he's coming down in the 9th position, it could be very interesting in the next run. So now we got 6 sleds within 1600s of each other.
There we go. We're going to pack a few more in, I reckon.
Yeah, here's another one.
Next up, Maxim Andrianov with Peter Musayev, Yuri Selikov, and Ilya Malik. I mean, there are no weak links in this Russian starting lineup. Andrianov, not a frequent World Cup starter.
Almost every one of these guys are soldiers in the Russian program. Push bar, and you see all the holes in there. That's to get the weight out of the sled. There's a maximum weight with the crew, but there's also a minimum weight of the sleds. And, you know, the heavier you are, the lighter the sled you got to push, but you also have to keep that minimum weight of the sled intact.
Alexander Zubkov there in the black cap, giving them the encouragement. So too are the Russian girls lining the wall. You can see them. They raced yesterday with the men cheering them on.
In down, cat-like open save.
So the zeros, yeah, 0.9. Another big start from the Russians.
60.6, what are they, 60.3. Not a very good entry speed. That's a little drift there, and pretty good there. Oh, he tapped before he got into 4. That that's going to cost him some, and it did. He went from 4 to 11 right there, and he's going to lose more time. He lost that accelerated point. He's over. No! Might come back, though. Oh.
Look for turn 12 to right the sled. If they can all hang on in there, that's where McNeil pop back up. Yes, they know.
Those four-mans, that four-man didn't come back up in 7 already. It's not coming back up. So now you want to tell the guys, stay in the sleds here. Now they're going to have to make sure that the track workers get this sled as it comes up the apex and get a finish. I don't think they're going to get a finish time. It doesn't matter here. We're looking about their safety. Now, cross the line. They got to cross the line. They got to catch him there. He'll come all the way back. Now you see the crew going to jump in there, try and catch him. But watch out now. That's not easy. 900 kilos. They do a great job by the crew. Save these guys. And did they get across the finish line? I think they did.
Yep. 1 minute 4.8. They will get another go if they're healthy to go.
Now we saw. Look at this. Look at the back end, and
that's at 4 to 5 again, and it never rolled back in. Yeah. Wow.
The whole sled was airborne, and it almost. Look at these pictures.
That's brutal. That is brutal. They may not go again. Well, that is a big hit that Andrianov, the driver, took.
Now, this is going to unsettle the rest of the team up in this.
Look who's next.
Holcomb's up there. So you got,
of course it's
Holcomb, Cripps, Spring. You got 3 or 4 more drivers up there that can challenge.
The wind and the snow have stopped. Normally that's what comes in when Holcomb's ready to go. Now there's going to be a track hold. There's Maxim Andrianov. When the sled landed taking off 5, he took a big lick.
Look at the back. Another sled's totally airborne, it seems like, right?
Yep.
Here, look. I mean, that's how many
900
pounds? 900. That's unbelievable.
And then the exit here. Watch the head. Now
that's exit of 12.
Yeah, that's a big hit. 2 hits there for Andrianov.
But if they show us curve 8, it almost comes back up on curve 9. They almost got the sled back up right when it tipped over. It almost came back up, but the 2-man is a little sports car. The 4-man's a big runaway sport utility or a truck. Tough to get the 4-man in trouble. But when you do, we just saw what happens.
Well, not in 4 to 5. It's such a rapid transition. The front should be zagging and the back is still zigging. And at that stage, I'm afraid it wasn't coming back. Well, lots of fans out here and grateful, I'm sure, all of them, that the weather is 15, 20 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. We had a great start in the skeleton race. The temperature here in Lake Placid yesterday was colder than Mars. I thought you'd like that. Colder than Mars.
So here, now their discussion. There's Richard Lobenstein, the technical
the engineer for the
and he's sitting there talking to Don Haas, the race director. And that's what they got to deal with. They see those marks. So now they got to go and slush things around. There's our leaderboard.
Rico Peda leads from Yun Jong-won, a Korea, but boy, look at that. Down to 6th place, Lam Hindin, 1600ths of a second.
4-man bobsled racing at its best.
Manual gear shift, a fast manual gear shift on the stick shift will be 1600ths of a second.
Here they are slushing. They're taking slush now, and they're like a little mason's tool there. They're going to fill in those grooves because you don't want to get your runners in those grooves. Now, those grooves are most likely not where the sleds will go, but they can't take the chance. Now, here's the take on to where the accident was, I think, right here. Right? No, it's not. This is down below. See, they're inspecting.
12, huh?
Yeah, plus you have the IBSF jury members will go in and start inspecting the marks on the curves.
Well, and the issue here is that the ice was so unbelievably cold yesterday. I mean, it's still -6, which is a cold day on any track. Ice temperature -9. Yeah, that's really, really cold ice, and it probably gouges up and breaks up a lot more than it might
you see the runner
do.
marks still high, so they're going to straddle that mark. You can see the holes, but most likely.
But the problem is, if
they'll be above, but they can't. They don't, and they make a mistake.
Yeah.
That's really going to.
Then you lose control of the sled. It follows the tram lines.
On the old track across the street, when it was natural ice, or they still doing San Moritz, we used to be at the top of the track, and they say, hey, there's a big cut down in Shady. We're going to put a little piece of like a tree, like a little fir tree, put it in there as a marker. Or they'd paint it with the spray paint. They'd say, okay, and your driver would go down and have to straddle that to get through the curve. But that was a few years ago.
Yeah. Different times.
Different times. They don't do that now. But that track across the street, the other side of the mountain here, that was built, opened to Christmas Day 31 or 1930 it opened. Now here's the radio and the crew. They're talking about the grooves here. Now that groove there is in shady.
Yeah.
And if you look above that is the grooves.
Yeah, you're going to have to straddle that top.
Straddle that
bright white line because, yeah, you don't want to you don't want to be low and get the runners into those sled marks because that is going to take away your steering. And shady's a big corner with a fast exit. You don't want to lose control there. Looks like everybody's okay. Now, Dr. Eugene Byrne, who's the IBSF physician here, will be examining the Russians as well, and he'll be on his say-so whether or not they are allowed to go up for a second trip. They were all in the sled. They crossed the finish line. So legally, they completed the first run. They can go again if they are passed.
They're only 10 seconds out of the top.
Well, you know, it's still going to earn points because they're still going to make a second run. So there are points there on offer. And at the end of the season, when you look at how you set up the rankings for the Olympic year, then that might be vital for the Russians. Stephen Holcomb is at the start block, and that's why the noise level is raising here in this now fully enclosed start area. All the siding behind the fans there, you can see that's all new. It used to be just material. Open. Yeah, flapping in the wind. Now it's solid siding. And actually the effect is it's cut down a little bit on the wind blowing across, but it's created a vortex that swirls the snow around the start area.
It's almost like an indoor arena.
Yeah, and that also keeps the noise in, and that may make life a little difficult when it comes to snapping the ball, because you want to know when the snap's coming if you're the guys behind Holke. Carlo Valdez behind him at 2. At 3, James Reed, and at 4, Sam McGuffey, with whom Holke won gold yesterday in the 2-man. Here we go.
Well, they should get into the single-digit starts. 509, I think, would be the number they want to hit at least.
Let's see how amped up they are. 509.
Now, let's see if, he's only got about 12, 15 trips with this BMW sled. So he's still feeling it out.
Little skinny.
See how he does here today. It is,
of course, without the knowledge of what it does in different temperature conditions, that kind of affects your runner choice as well, and he may not have the setup spot on the way he wants it either.
Pretty smooth down there when the spot where the Russians had problems. He's +9 to +9. That means he's starting to feel it.
Here we go.
Oh, that was great.
Could motor into the lead here.
That's great. He's bringing it down to 600. So Holcomb on the bottom part of the track. He's doing what he does best. Drive a bobsled. Ooh, real rough there. He lost something back.
700s away. He's going to be right there. Second, third, fourth, just behind Kobe Basque.
That's good.
Are racking them up nicely at the top of the field.
But he's the 11th sled down. He was had a delay. The track's deteriorating a little bit. Things will be a little bit more equal with him. He'll come down earlier than Peter and Juan and Basque. He'll be the first one down, challenging for the medals. So that's a good run for Steve Holcomb. And how many sleds we got?
7.
7 sleds.
1600s.
1600s. Okay, I said we're going to have 8 of 20. Watch this now. Holcomb with the best speed, 85.8 miles an hour down here. But he's always got the best speed. He's a speed merchant.
Second fastest sled. He's second fastest to Cody Basque at the bottom, actually, in the night train. Here's another guy who could be in that 1600s of a second gap, Benny Meyer. We haven't got either of our Canadians who were on the podium in the 2-man yesterday on the run yet, so they've got a chance to get in here.
This guy here. This is going to be a good start. This could be a 6 or a 7 start here.
We're going to be racking them up like 9 pins at the top of the field. Christina Hengster in the background, along with Manfred Meyer, the coach.
Very proficient. Start 6.
Whoa, 506, big start.
This young 22-year-old. See the green numbers right now. He's very formidable pilot. Little skid there. That's going to cost him. But he's You know, I like about him is he knows how to take apart a sled, put it back together. I mean, a lot of people just have the mechanics do everything for him. But this kid knows a lot about the equipment.
Guess his dad made him learn, didn't he? His dad's a former driver and knows these sleds inside out. Makes the boy learn. 700s away. It's a really strong run from Meyer.
This is decent. How's the energy at us? Not bad. Speed.
He can hold this. He'll tie with Lamin Dean for 7th spot.
He lost a lot of time on the bottom part of the track and the speed part. We didn't see any speed. There's the speed. Boy, he only had 78 miles an hour. There's his dad, Manfred. And, you know, Meyer, this speed's telling us he was 6-7 miles an hour on the bottom part of the track.
Now, again, it may not have thin enough runners for the really cold ice that we've got here even today. I mean, yesterday was an entirely different planet. Today it's still very cold ice.
Aerodynamics, and we see anybody else behind him? Yeah, we can see a little bit of that number 2 guy bouncing around. Now look at the heads there, look cohesive. You know, where did he lose it? You might be right, might be runners, because that didn't look like that bad of a run. He didn't do anything drastic, you know, and he has pretty good start time.
Alexander Au down there, racing the men's skeleton, chatting with him, his compatriot. 3 Canadian sleds next up, 2 of whom were on the podium in the 2-man race. Nick Polignano trying to get a hoodie off over a helmet. Now, maybe the first time I've ever seen that done. So Polignano with Daniel Sunderland, new to the team, Derek Plug and Keenan McDougall. Keenan, another new boy in the Canadian lineup. And another ex-CFL player. Big history in CFL, the man at 4 has.
Okay, get the precision, get in, get down, and some new guys here. Look at that, how efficient that was. Great start. Boy, everybody's got a great start now. It used to be just 2 or 3 teams, but for the Canada number 3 sled to come out here with that type of start, that's impressive.
Bobsleds on this lake.
500's back. That's the pictures. It's not smooth through there, Mark.
It's not smooth through anywhere here.
Polignano has won one of the Canadian selection races, so he's had a come out breakout year. Put himself in the World Cup circuit. He's got no speed. Way up high there on 17. Watch out here. Ooh. So
yeah.
He was way high at 17. He'll finish intact.
He'll get a finish as well.
This is not as a violent crash, and he's a, you know, I would think these guys are going to go back up, but his mistake way back in 17, he got way above the markings on there. I caught that immediately, and then he's got to come down, and you know, his mistake was made up 150, 200 meters from where he crashed.
Canadians, the track workers, the Russians, all running to help.
No, there was no crashes in training all week. No crashes. We had one crash yesterday. The British, Mickey McNeil up there in curve 2. It's Derek Plug. They're yelling for a medic.
Yep.
I see 3 guys.
Well, there's Nick Polignano with the visor on. Clambers out, and they're all out and up.
So now they're all asking what the start time was. You know, listen, look how high he is here, though. He's way above that BMW logo. He should be across that logo. Now he's coming across in the exit, and he's late there, and then it's lights out on the next curve. It's hard to get through there. Wow. You know, in 18-19, another pivotal part of this track, and now we have another hold.
And you know, you're talking there of a steer that's a couple of hundredths of a second too late, and that's the end result. At that speed, at 85 miles an hour, think how quickly things go wrong in a road car. Never mind a sled on ice.
Well, we see everybody up and at it, which is great. Derek Plug on the left.
Keenan McDougall, the guy at 4, new to the team, I was saying, comes from CFL, played safety for the Calgary Stampeders and the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. So
I only see 3 there. I wonder if one of them they took out.
Yeah, maybe
took him right out.
Yeah.
Maybe he was the one that they were calling for medic.
Quick chat with the doctors.
It doesn't look like it's phased Derek Plug at all.
Well, he may have been over once or twice. He was in Springs.
Look how high. Look how high they are there. Way too high. And when you're that high, then he's going to come up here and he's got to probably double steer to get off the curve. When you get off the curve late, you're late here, and you're late here on the exit, and he can do all the Robin Hood that he wants there, and he's not going to get off that curve in time.
So nearly got it onto 19, and in the end, it just didn't happen for him. And that's a noise that you can't mistake for anything else, isn't it? You hear a sled crash, even if you don't see it.
You wouldn't know Derek crashed. Look at the handle on the sled, and he's doing what the crew does. And look at the sled. It doesn't look like there's too much.
It didn't travel an awful long way on its side. So
now the question is, I mean, the question is, will they go back up?
Yeah. Well, they'll go back up.
World Cup points, you know.
Yep.
World Cup points, pretty important.
So another track delay, just 2 sleds after the previous one. And unfortunately for Nick Poloniato, not only has he shaken the crew up, but Justin Cripps and Chris Sping, his compatriots, are the next 2 to go. Rico Peda leads. And boy, what a second heat we're going to have. You know,
right there.
We may not have quite the drama in terms of crashing, but we're going to have plenty of drama in terms of competition. Look at Loic Kosteg. He's only a few hundreds ahead of Benny Meyer, Ivo de Bruyn, and Nick Poloniato down towards the bottom. Poloniato crashing, and Maxim Andrianov going down a long way early.
Let's look at the speeds over here, a little conversation point. The best speed is 85.8 by Cody Basque. 3 other teams have 85.6.
Yeah.
Basque had a rough 18-19, just like the Canadian sled.
Derek Plug there just showing a bit of love to the sled. I wonder what the heritage of this one is.
They look, I mean, it's not cold like it was.
No.
What are they going to do?
Is that Springer's old sled? Is that Phoenix?
I don't know. Look at the marks on the track. Now this is shady. Now this gives you an idea here. This is the shady curve. So TV doesn't do the sport justice. If you ever get a chance to come out and watch one of these races, you will be in awe of the energy and the sounds and how fast these sleds come by. And you can get that close to them too.
Yep.
But that picture really shows you the change of direction that the shady curve presents. It's about a 180-degree change. And G-forces, you hit 3.5, 4 Gs. 4-man bobsled. Wow. We know all week long everybody was saying how good the conditions the track was in. No crashes. It was fast.
I tell you what, if the 2-man is like Formula 1 racing, 4-man, that's stock car racing. They are big, powerful beasts, and they take a lot of getting going. They take a lot of getting stopping as well. When they wreck, they wreck. And there is Derek Plug with the sled. Looks like it's in its scabbards. How they transport them is getting ready to go on the truck and back up to the top. Hopefully all the guys will be okay. Try not to break the timing beam if you wondered what was going on with that. Another 5-minute track hold. And that means that our 2 Canadian crews coming up next, plus Justin Olsen, Lana Myers. In fact, we've got 3 more Canadian sleds. We've got Kaylee Humphries coming up. Oh, wait. Kaylee Humphries is being shown as on our timing screen as DNS. So it looks like the sled, the 4th Canadian sled, has been pulled. So
Kelly Humphries pulled out.
Yeah, it looks like she was due to go with Kasia Lee, Melissa Lottholtz.
Yeah, because we saw Kasia Lee down there. You're right.
There you go. So she's a DNS. So somebody may have woken up feeling sicker than sick this morning. Misha McNeil, incidentally, spent the first 3 days of this week being extremely unwell, lost 3 or 4 kilos of body weight, and there's not a lot of her to go round either. So she came out and shook it off, came out to race yesterday, and then in the end, she was the only crash in 3 different races yesterday. We had 2-man women's bobsleigh and the men's skeleton. Oh no, we had a crash from Martin Stuckers as well. That's noted in my diary as well. Because remember the last time Martin Stuckers had a crash.
Koenigsee, 2013.
Yeah. There you go, you see it.
February.
You know, they don't come around as often as birthdays or Santa Claus.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you're the best guy ever in the history of the sport, we know when he's crashed. And again, he did it yesterday. And
yeah. Lots of support for the Canadians up at the top of the track. Great start facility up there. And the 2 4-man crews, I was going to say exactly that, sitting in the warm and trying to keep the focus.
So earlier today, we had Janine Flock from Austria break the track record in these snowy conditions.
Yeah.
And she broke it both runs. I mean, the first run she broke it, the second run would have been a track record. And she walked away with a gold medal for Austria. Then in women's bobsledding, Jamie Grubel-Posler, she broke the track record yesterday, and only 200ths off the start record also with Aja Evans. And then in the 2-man bobsled, well, Holcomb, he didn't get near that track record, but, you know, Holcomb rocketed down, and here's a conversation now
Canadian
with jury
coach
members.
Graham Richardson on the left-hand side there. And the Canadian sleds are being lined up ready to go at the top of the track.
There's Don Haas. You can't see him with a gray hat on. He's the race director. This is Joost Matley, the IBSF Sport Performance Director. That's Manny Schulte, the head of the IBSF jury, the tall German on the left. And their discussion, I'm sure they're discussing exact procedure of, you know, when the guys will go. And
well, this is also going to push back the start of the second heat, which was scheduled for 12:45 local, so 17:45 GMT. We should have been done in about 10 minutes, but that's not going to happen. We still have 1, 2, 3. Well, you know what? We've only still got 4 sleds left to go. We might get done in 10 minutes.
We might get done if we have no more incidents. And but you know, the question now is the conditions of the track. I mean, the first guy down, Juan, he's still in second place.
Well, he still had a little bit of blustery snow, but the ice was still in one piece.
I don't think
Cody Basque, but then Holcomb came in 1100s down after that crash and the first delay. So
yeah, the door's still open for him.
Well, and Cripps and Spring and Justin Olsen, Lana Myers-Taylor, that they know what they're doing here. You know, there's plenty of opportunity for them to get into it. Here we go. The Canadians are at the top of the track, getting stripped down for action. And the snow has stopped, the wind has stopped as well, so actually the track is in better, or the conditions are better now than they were at the beginning of this run for Yun Jung-won, who still lies in second place. Our top 2 separated by a whole 1/100th of a second. Third place, Cody Basque, 400ths back. Holcomb, 1100ths back. Juan, they're 1200ths back.
Juan, last year in 4-man bobsled, his best finish was 11th.
Yeah.
And so him being in second place like this is a historic moment for Korea. If he can hang into winning the Koreans' first ever medal in 4-man bob, he's won one medal already. He won the World Cup title in 2-man last year. So here comes our veteran Canadian, Justin Cripps.
Grabbed the silver medal yesterday out of the hands of teammate Chris Spring.
By 100? Yeah. Crew, Jesse Lumsden, Joshua Kirkpatrick, Ben Coquelin. Let's see if they can get a 6 or a 7 start like their teammates.
Okay, 9. A couple of CFL players on this team.
Ooh, look at the runners. A little unsure of himself. Not bad, didn't touch anything. Let's see if he can hold on, maybe keep it in single digits here at the next clock. He barely does. And let's see if he can get through the albatross part of the track coming up right here. Yes. Doing well. Keeps it at good speed here at the bottom. Lines. Look at the aerodynamic profile coming up. Can you see anybody back there? A little bit of movement back there. 1700 speed. 83.9. Almost a 2-mile-an-hour down to the top sleds. And he's losing time on the bottom. That speed, you don't get that speed, 9th.
Setup wasn't right there. Something wasn't right. The drive was pretty good. No major mistakes. Stefan Bosch walks away from that one a little bit.
He was doing pretty good on the exit of Shady, only 1100ths back, but the speed part of the track for him, he had 84.4 compared to the other sleds are all mid-85s. And again, Basque, the best speed, 85.8.
Yeah.
And the speed, boy, a lot to do with these hundreds of seconds. This is 12.
Close the head is to the wall.
He might have taken a little bit too much at 12, but he got out of there pretty clean.
Yeah. Little tap, little skid, but you can't get down this track in a straight line.
Silver medal yesterday. I don't think he's going to do it today.
Yeah, 2900s back is a lot to ask. 3100s rather, Justin Cripps. What about Chris Spring? What can he produce out of this four-man? Cam Stone's at 2, Lascelles Brown, the bronze medalist with him yesterday at 3, and Sam Giguere still juggling his CFL career with his bobsled career.
Okay, well, every Canadian team down so far has got great start times. Let's see what this one does.
Yeah, the man at 4 still plays.
5:04, the best start. It didn't come up, but we saw it on our screen. Best start of the competition. Well, the Canadians got some athletes in all 3 sleds.
I think Springer wants to make sure he's 100th quicker at the start today after losing silver by 100th yesterday.
Well, he was pretty happy to get the bronze with his teammates and no problems there.
Tied for the lead.
100th, only 100 back. This is a good line. He's going to need the speed at the bottom. His teammate didn't have it.
We could have 3 sleds covered by 100th of a second if he keeps this up.
400's back. The speed is going to be so crucial. 84.1 is reading to us so far. This is
4.9, 1 kilometer an hour, 1 mile an hour down. Yeah. So he'll drop down to 6.7, 6.
So now we have 8 sleds.
Yeah.
Within 1,500. 7 sleds within, or no, 8 sleds within 1,600s.
It's going to be madness in the second heat.
He had the slowest speed of the top 8 sleds that we see in the field. Slowest speed.
Again, you wonder about that and think, okay,
yeah,
what are they
set up the runners? But he rocketed here. Look at the difference. He lost a ½ kilometer an hour in the entrance and the exit of Shady.
Yeah.
They got timing on the entrance to the curve, exit of the curve, and the Swiss got him for a ½ kilometer. And that's where you exit on the bottom part of the track with a slingshot type effect. He didn't have the speed and he showed it on the bottom.
Tell you what, Lascelles Brown will be happy. 5:04. Yes, please. We'll take that. Look how tight our field is. Top 3 covered by 400ths of a second.
Last sled of the heat.
Penultimate sled of the heat. Justin Olsen was in the silver medal position in the 2-man, and it drifted away with his second run. Is it time for some redemption? Austin Landis, Lewis Morea, and Evan Weinstock, the man who was in the 2-man sled with Olsen.
They had the best starts in the competition yesterday in the 2-man.
Olsen has won on this track in 2010. Beg your pardon, the 9, 10, 11, and 12, pushing Stephen Holcomb.
In this sled. This is the Night Train 1 sled. So the sled knows how to get down. Look at the start. Best start in the competition. Boy, there's some athletes. Olsen is really an athlete in the front seat. And he's still learning how to drive both the 2 and the 4.
Still has the lead.
He's lost it back.
200ths of a second.
He's just getting experience here.
He's going to be in contention, isn't he? Both Night Train sleds could end up battling for the medals.
I just think the coaches want to see him get to the bottom and, you know, chalk up an experience. This is his first ever World Cup 4-man race right here. His first ever World Cup 4-man heat.
Yep.
Oh, he's not really in a good position here at the bottom. I don't like this.
2100ths away. He's got speed, and at the line comes across in 13th place.
But wow. If I'm the U.S. coaches, Brian Scheimer, it's okay. You know, when you got the best start time at the top of the track, you have a chance for the best finish time at the bottom.
Yep.
He's got phase 1, and now he just needs another 100 trips. Yeah. So again, it's about cohesion at the start. And the driver's the leader, and they have a little, look at, okay, right, here we go, ready? What, you guys ready? You guys ready? Oh, that, and that wasn't cohesive. Something was missing there, and they still had the fastest start time.
Yeah, that was a no-huddle offense.
Weird.
The snap was
a little weird.
Yeah.
That was a little weird.
That was like, there's no audible. And then through the chicane, doesn't panic, doesn't put in a big steer, just lets it ride off the wall, knows he's coming back.
But there's get some coaching instructions.
Yep.
You know, that's all he's on. He's on this steep learning curve.
Now here is our final sled of the heat. It's the 4th US sled, Alana Myers-Taylor, and she is joined by Alex Harrison, husband Nick Taylor at 3, who helped Steve Holcomb in the team trials. And Hakeem Abdul Sabur is at 4. Now, this is probably the first time in World Cup history we've had a husband and wife competing in the same sled.
I've seen fathers and sons. I've seen brothers all in the same sled. The Stevens brothers won the Olympic gold medal in 1932 on the track across the street. But I've never seen a husband and wife.
Alana has been having
5:10. That's a good start.
It's a great start.
That's a great start.
See this problem part of the track, no problem at all. U.S. coach says she's driving formula very well. They opened up this rule 2 years ago.
Good lines.
Couldn't beat Olsen.
Currently lying 15th place on the splits.
You know, she's given up 60 pounds because you know her weight's about 175. All the drivers and the rest of the 215, 220. So she's got to find 40 more pounds to put on the athletes or in the sled. And, you know, that's a good time.
Yep, gets down in front of the Dutch. So she's in 14th spot with a 54.81 drive.
Start time was decent.
Yeah, 5:10.
They'll be excited about that.
So she outstarted the Dutch, the Brazilians, the French, the British.
And look at the lines here. They know with a makeshift crew, well, look at them bouncing around back there. So they're not comfortable in that sled. When you see all the shoulders and everything backing around, you know, bouncing around there, that's, hey, it's probably only been out 3 or 4 times with that crew.
They started 5:10, Holcomb's crew 5:09. One in second place started 5:09. Kazyanov, the Russian, the fastest Russian start, 5:09.
Take it, figure that out.
Ain't bad.
No.
Rico Pater leads. And what a lead he's got. A whole 100th of a second in his pocket. It'll be a cruise to victory or chaos. I don't know. You try and work that out in the next 15 minutes before we return on ice, which should be at 12:45 local, 17:45 GMT. Whatever you're doing, do not miss it.
Check it out.
This is going to be
Top
insanity.
8 sleds. The top 8 sleds separated by 16 hundredths of a second. 4-man bobsled racing at its best.
Any of those could be in the medals. Not all of them, clearly, but any of them could. And there's a couple behind who need a bit of redemption as well. Kelly Humphries didn't start. Maxim Andrianov and Nick Polignato crashed out. May not see the Russians. Again, the Canadians, a little bit of a question mark as well. Join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, with the rest of the FIB TV crew to find out what happens next. 15 minutes. We're up and ready to go again. Stay with us.